Hi everyone, this is my first kind of video recording I've done for YouTube and Insta, so it's something different. I'm Susie Parrott, by the way. I'm just on my Angelic Light page on Facebook. So I do a lot of Facebook lives on there and card readings and meditations and all sorts of stuff. So this is something new, doing a video for different platforms of mine. So I hope you enjoy what we talk about today. And who knows, I like going off the cuff with the angels. I was been instructed by Michael and Metatron today to get on and do this. I think I haven't gone back to work yet. I've lost my job, and Spirit were like, you just need to get on and, finish what you started in lockdown. So, I get instructed and bossed about by Archangel Michael quite a lot. That's what I call him. Archangel Michael, I call him Mr. Bossy. So yeah, anyway, hi, I'm Susie Parrott, and I hope you enjoy what we talk about today, because I'm going to be channeling what the angels want to tell me. I do make an excuse if you can hear Zeus, my dog. It's so funny because he's like the quietest ever, and then as soon as I start doing something like this, he starts chewing bones, being a pain in the neck and everything else. So sorry if you hear him as well, but I haven't really got anywhere to shut him out. It's quite open plan where I am. So and not only that, if I put him outside, you can guarantee, being a Jack Russell, he'd start barking. So never mind. So yeah, I really, really hope you enjoy what we talk about today. Like I say, it's off the cuff, and that's sometimes how I like to do it, because I end up channeling on what the Archangels, Michael, Metatron and others want to talk about. So I might end up putting a few cards today, or I might just be talking about the archangels, because they are such a phenomenal thing to talk about. And for myself, who's been working with them for most of my life, I've had my spiritual gifts. I'm a psychic medium, clairvoyant, and I've been giving readings for over 30 years. I converse directly with spirit that are attached to you on the heaven plane, which is wonderful for me. It's so nice to be able to give, full readings. They usually could be up to an hour of, messages from your loved ones on the other side. So they're really different. I can pull cards, I can do all that as well, but actually conversing with spirit, I think, is quite special. Being able to describe to that person, and describe who I'm speaking to, the grandmother figure. I don't always get names. That's something I don't always get, but you can usually, the people I'm speaking to, which can be all over the world. I mean, Canada, Guatemala. I've literally all over America, here. I give readings anywhere in the world. As long as you can, I've got the angels around me, you see, I'm itching. As long as I get the person's name, it just makes it a little bit easier to bring their energy to me, get their Akashic records up, which is like, the Akashic records is like someone's energy field. It's like their book of their life, really, and past lives, not just this one. But yeah, I can read the person's energy, and then I'm also conversing with spirit, because people have the concept that, when we die on this plane, there's nothing else. And of course that's not true, because as a psychic medium clairvoyant, I would not be able to converse with the soul, the spirit. Sorry, it's the spirit, the soul, whatever you would like to call it. I wouldn't be able to converse with them and hear them. I see them in my third eye, so I see them as I would see a physical person. I hear them like I would clairaudience, like I am speaking to a physical person. It really is that clear for me, and it's always been that way since I was a small child. Although I learned at a very early age I was very different from others, and that not everyone had the gift, especially not in my family. I actually come from a Romany descent, which I'm very proud of, by the way. I know there is stigma in this country about gypsies and Romanis, but I'm very, 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 very proud of my heritage. And I always like to mention that, where I come from. You should never forget where you come from. That's something my dad, even though he's on the heaven plane himself, has reminded me in my time. You know, you shouldn't forget who you are and where you come from, and that's quite true. And you know, I think at the moment there's so many souls, light workers waking up. You know, things aren't acceptable, prejudice and you know, it's not acceptable. You know, just because you come from a certain background, black background, for instance, or whatever, you know, a Muslim background, whatever you are, you know, at the end of the day, you are a beautiful, infinite soul. You know, getting away from skin color, getting away from religion. You know, we are all infinite beings. We all come here for the in-body experience. And this is where I'm going back to, there's no death, guys, because I literally wouldn't be able to do my work and do my job if there was death. You know, we come in, we've got lessons to learn on this plane. Lessons, you know, be learned on this plane. I do think that, you know, there is karmic issues, you know, as well, of why we're here, because we meet people on this plane that we would have known in past lifetimes. And you know, we get that chance to work things out again. That's happened to a lot to me, and I think as a light worker, that's one of our jobs, to kind of bring, you know, that lesson of knowing that we are here to help others and to work out any past karmic issues we've had, or the way somebody's pattern that someone's treated us, you know, see if they can change it and treat you differently in this lifetime. In fact, I have had something very, very recently which I'd like to share with you. And it was Michael, Archangel Michael, that actually said to me, because I was very hurt by this person's reaction. She actually just kind of cut me out of life with no warning. And it really, really hurt me, because there was no disagreement. I felt the energy between us was a bit weird. I said to her, "Is everything okay?" And she said yes. And then she blocked me. And it was hurtful because there was no disagreement, but I felt that energy was off. And Michael actually said to me, "Sorry guys, I'm going to have a bit of a drink. I'm really thirsty." And Michael said to me, Archangel Michael, he said, "You weren't surprised though, Susie, were you?" And I said, "Well, not really." And he said, "Because she's just fed that pattern from the past lifetimes you've been together," because I knew we'd had many past lifetimes. A lot of them, we were both nuns, actually. And we actually met in the physical. She came over from Australia and we met, and I went there actually, and we did a lot of healing together, which was great. But, you know, Archangel Michael did say to me, "You're not surprised that this has played out again for you?" And I'm like, "Not really, because it's the same pattern." And as light workers, you know, we do so much when we come on this plane. And some people don't realize that maybe if someone's treating them in a certain way, it's actually a past pattern that they're feeding from another lifetime that you've met and been together, you know. And for me, it's nice that Archangel Michael could give me the concept and let me understand that, because I take things very personally. I think being a light worker and the soul that I am, I'm very sensitive. I can't help it, guys. I think most light workers are. I'm just a very sensitive soul. I probably, and I've got to be, if that makes sense, because I pick up spirit, I pick up energy, read energy, don't I? Because that's what giving my readings, I'm reading off the person's energy, and then I'm reading the energy given to me from the spirits connected to them. Even though they're alive and happy in the heaven plane, but it's still energy, because everything has energy. Everything lets off an energy field of sorts. I mean, that's what your aura is. It's your energy field, you know. People that can see different color auras, and people say, "Oh, you know, darker the aura, the badder the person." It's actually true. But the thing is, they might have something attached to them. So the person inside might not be that bad, but the attachment to it is dark, you know? So there's usually always reasons as to why, because I don't always think everyone's born a dark soul, you know? These things happen to people, and it can be attachments. And you might say, what are attachments? Well, they're entities. They can be alien forces. And I know people probably think, oh, that's rubbish, because you probably don't want to think about it. I think, you know, we like to live in our bubble. God, you can tell the angels are around me. You know, I think we like to live in our bubble that, you know what we know, you know, and we're safe in knowing what we know. We don't like to think outside the box because it's scary. You know, it can be scary to think about outside the box. It can be scary to think there's other forces out there, alien forces that are amongst us. You know, I know, guys, it can be scary, but if you've not thought that, you know, that most of us here are not kind of human. Have you not thought, you know, that there's Pleiades, there's the Melchisedeks, there's you know, star seeds, rainbow children, there's indigo children, there's Pleiades, like I said, there's Arcturians. I mean, these are all light beings. Hello, I'm one of them, that have come in from light years away, a different planetary system and solar system, actually to Earth. And we're here to actually help the souls that are here. But have you thought that we're not human really anyway? Parts of us are, of course, but we're here to help humanity. And we're also here to help what's going on. I'm not going to get too political on my show, because that's not what I'm about. I'm of the lightness and the goodness, really, of the light working side of me, you know. But today I really just wanted to talk about, you know, there is no death, guys. And I think we are fed a lot of stuff on this plane, a lot of stuff that's very misleading, and a lot of stuff of that's quite harmful to us in a way. Because you think about it, if you're, like, you know, living in the doom and gloom of your loved ones past, they've left you, you're forlorn, you're missing them terribly on this earth plane, and your absolute heart is broken. You know, imagine it being a child. You know, you're absolutely feeling totally distraught at the loss of your loved one. Come on, guys, you got to be pretty heartfelt if we didn't empathize with that scenario in itself. You know, a very good friend of mine's son was murdered. He was 14 years of age. I mean, it was an horrific time for her and her family. And it was her son, believe it or not, guys, that brought us together. This is one of the most amazing stories I think I could ever tell anyone. I was on holiday, minding my own business, sat in the sun, or trying to, and it was my partner who I was with at the time. He said, he got talking to this couple, and Spirit said to me, I'm led there on the sun lounger, trying to enjoy my holiday in Tunisia. And Spirit said to me, you've got to go over there. And I said, I will in a minute. And they said, no, you've got to go over now. And I'm like, it's, you know, my holiday. I'm exhausted. You know, I work a full-time job as a barber. It's very tiring. I was so looking forward to this week off, and Spirit want me to work for them, which usually I'm work for Spirit every day, all the time, doing something, different forms of light work. It doesn't bother me, but I'm on holiday trying to, you know. They said, you got to go. I said, no, I'm enjoying the sun. Well, if a cloud from in a clear blue sky, guys, didn't just come, cover the sun. I kid you not. It was just like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they said, now go over. So cut a long story a bit short, ended up going over and speaking to this lovely lady. And she said, oh, this is my daughter, and this is me, and this is my husband, or her partner at the time. And she said, I said, oh, you have a son. And her eyes went really wide, and she went quite ashen looking. And she said, yeah. I said, he's on the heaven plane. He's with me now. And she just went white. And she just went really white. And I said, he's here with me, and he wants you to stop crying. And I said, I know he died horrifically. I know he was murdered. And I said, and I also know he's telling me that they didn't realise that it was a murder inquiry until 2 weeks after he'd passed. And therefore they lost a lot of the evidence. And bless her heart, she was there. You know, she couldn't believe it. And anyway, cut long story short, guys, we ended up doing 2 afternoons of readings with her son. And I found out that the lady wanted to take her own life. She was that desperately miserable without her 14-year-old son, as you can imagine. Absolutely heartbroken. The whole family broken. The whole family. I mean, they're very close-knit, tight family. Broken. Broken, literally. And Ryan said to me, Susie, you have to explain. And I was like, right, okay. So basically, I had to explain to Lisa that he hadn't left her side. He couldn't rest because of the devastation his death had caused her and the family. And he couldn't leave. He wasn't at peace himself because of the state of her. I mean, she was broken. The whole, like I say, the whole family were. And I had to explain to Lisa, bless her heart, I'm sure she won't mind me mentioning in her name. She's one of my closest friends. Absolutely adore the lady. And the family, absolutely amazing family. But going back to the story, Ryan wanted me to explain that he had come on this plane as a soul and as a very evolved soul. He was an old soul. And Lisa said, I always used to say that, you know. And he said to me, you have to explain, I agreed this before I came. So we all have life plans. And as souls, doesn't matter whether we're at Turian, Pleiades, Melchizedek, we're all answerable to God. Okay? We are. So, and God knows all about us, you know, and we are answerable to him under his karmic, cosmic law. Definitely. So Ryan told me to explain to Lisa that he had come here for that experience. Now, karmically, there was a karmic experience between them, the two that killed him. And also, he came in for that experience. But what he reminded Lisa, which Lisa didn't remember, was that she'd agreed to have him as her son before she came to this earth plane. And she'd agreed to have him as her son so she would experience that experience in her life this time round. Now, obviously, Lisa, as her soul's come to the earth plane, she doesn't remember that, which is fine. But Ryan wanted me to remind her that she'd agreed to this in her own life plan, right? And then Ryan had come in as her son, right, to feed that experience, right? So he chose Lisa, and it was agreed within the joint experience, because they're part of the same family group, that she would at this time in his life be his mum, you know, and they would have that experience. And Ryan wanted me to share that with Lisa and say, look, I know, Mum, this has been so hurtful for you, but I'm still with you. I'm here by your side. I haven't gone anywhere. You just can't see me in the physical anymore. You can't physically touch me because I'm out of my physical shell. And what died was the physical shell, the body, not the spirit, not the soul. I went home. That's all I've done. I just went home. So Lisa's devastation of wanting to take her own life and wanting to end her life because she missed her son so much, this changed her aspect of how she thought about death. Because on this plane, we are fed, we die, that's it, you know. And the funeral, it's also heartbreaking, we're mournful, and it's just so hard. You know, everyone dresses in black and it's all miserable and it's all, you know, doom and gloom. And, you know, really, if someone is decided to write it in their life plan, yes, at 14, don't get me wrong, he wasn't on this plane long. He wasn't with her in the physical for long, but he had such a great time when he was here. He experienced so many things in his lifetime as a 14-year-old soul. And he experienced death of being murdered. It sounds awful, doesn't it? And leaving this plane at a young age. That was the experience, and the fact there was something karmic between who did that to him, okay? But that was what he chose to come in on, this life plan. In his next life, I mean, it is a pretty dramatic experience, of course, and the same for Lisa, but that's the experience done and dusted. And when he went up, even though he was a 14-year-old in this lifetime, very evolved soul, an old soul, he'll go up and they'll do his life plan with the angels, his guardian angel, and Archangel Azrael. And they'll say, what did you learn? What didn't you learn in this lifetime? So in the next lifetime, if he chooses to come to Earth, if he chooses to come back down here, there's other lessons and experiences that he will learn as a soul. But that's up to him. He's got free will, you see. As souls, we have free will. We can either stay up there on that dimension. There are different dimensions. Different dimensions, different solar systems, and that's up to us whether we want to come down here and choose to hang out on Earth. That's up to us. It's like we volunteer to God. We kind of say, God says, right, who wants to go down and experience this and this? And as souls, we're like, yeah, I'll do it because we're light workers, and we are lovely beings. Okay, there are some low vibrational scum down here. Oh, did I really say that? Never mind, but it's the truth, and I only speak the truth. But it's us light workers. We shine so brightly and illuminate out into the universe so much more than that, and love conquers all. But going back to Ryan, it was so nice for me. I continued my working with Lisa, coaching her through this awful time as a spiritual coach. I've had experience with bereavement. I also coach adults and children with understanding their own spiritual gifts and getting them working with their intuition and everything else, and also coaching young children that if you're seeing spirit, there's nothing to be scared of, and helping them through that times. Because usually if there's one sensitive person, God, the angels are all around me, one sensitive person in the family, like I was, there's usually just the one in that immediate family. So if children get scared of seeing spirit and not understanding why I went through it, not understanding why they're seeing, hearing spirit, they're like, well, why can no one else see them? So I help coach children as well in that respect, but I also help coach spirits. So I help move on spirit as well. If they're trapped on this plane, I open up portals, usually with Michael, and we open the portal and they have thousands go up in the portals that just don't want to be here on this plane anymore. Their spirit, they were here for whatever reason and they want to go up. I did one before lockdown in London. I've done them all over the world, to be honest. Massive one I did with Michael was in Melbourne. And Michael had made it for me to go to Melbourne to see my friend, which was amazing. And then I rocked up at her house and she lived next door to a funeral home, which I absolutely burst out laughing with, because that's why he wanted me to go. And he made sure I did it financially with hardly any money. And it was amazing because I went to see a dear friend of mine who I love dearly and who I've known for many years. So it was kind of, I got the reward of seeing the dear friend, but I also felt like the whole of Victoria by the amount of souls that went through it. So, once going back to Ryan and Lisa, it was nice for Ryan to then, going forward, come to me and I could coach Lisa in getting her over this terrible time, in not wanting her to take her life anymore. Sorry, the angels are around me. I get very itchy because their feathers all scruff up in my head. So it was nice to be able to, he would come into me obviously as a spirit, and I'd ring Lisa, and there was one day I rung her. It must have been about 5:30 at night. I said, Lisa, Ryan's, are you cooking chili? And she burst out laughing. And she went, oh my God, yeah. And I said, Ryan says, can you put more chili in it? Because it's not hot enough for him. And she went, Susie, that is so true. She said he would always like a really hot one. And should I always have to make another separate pot of chili for him because he liked it so hot. And it was things like that. So as time went on, Lisa knew he was around her, and I actually coached her in understanding her own intuition, and in knowing that actually if she did get a vision of Ryan in her third eye, that he was actually showing her that he was with her and he was there. And she'd have bad days, and I would call her and I would say, Ryan says, chin up, because she's like, you always know when I'm down. Because Lisa was always got quite secretive with her mourning and her sadness, which is, you know, understandable. But I'd ring her and she'd say, you always know I'm down. And, you know, but it was because Ryan was coming to me, I was working with him. And yeah, we were both help coaching his mum get through that time. And it really, really changed her concept on Ryan's death. In the end, and I'm not saying, guys, she was doing cartwheels. She misses him in the physical, and I think any of us who've had a loved one pass, you know, we do. Whether it's your grandparents, or like me, my dad, I miss my grandparents, both sets, and I really, really, really miss my father and my children. I lost 2 kids. 2 boys through miscarriages, and it's wonderful because my oldest son Anthony, and he is one of my soul guides, and he helps me all the time. And usually Dad and Anthony come in together, and I get advice, and I get kind of what if there's something bothering me, or, you know, like with my friend, my dad would come in and say, don't worry about it, honey, just move forward, you're fine, you're doing great, you know. And they give me words of encouragement and love. And sorry guys, the angels are around because they're channeling me what to say. And you know, so at least, you know, with kind of bereavement coaching, I can help people, you know, understand, guys. Yes, they're gone in the physical. It's so sad because you don't see them in the physical, but I help people look out for the signs of how they're trying to communicate with them. And I do that with the angels as well. I teach people how to, you know, at unitingthelight.com, me and Diane Morgan, we are unitingthelight.com. We were brought together by Archangel Michael. And we have classes, online classes, where we help teach people what actually signs are and what to look out for, and that, you know, the angels and spirit are trying to communicate with you all the time. It's just educating you in knowing what to look out for and what and what you need to know. You know, I always think with angel signs especially, don't overthink it. You know, you don't have to overthink angel signs at all, because it's not that difficult to work with angels or spirit realms anyway. I always say that. I always say that, you know, if you're working that hard to work with them, you're not doing it right, because you could be calling up anything. And I know it's easy for me to say because I'm, you know, I've got it all, but we've all got it all in us. We've all got the Claires. And there's quite a few Claires. I'm not going to reel them off. Well, claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairreliance, clairsentience. I mean, there is quite a lot. Even being telepathic, which is a lot of how I communicate with a lot of the angels. I don't physically always say it, but they're hearing me telepathically, and I'm hearing them telepathically, you know, because as souls, as soul beings that we are. That's how we used to communicate anyway on this plane. We never used to physically talk. We all have that, the clairvoyant, you know, where you're receiving images in your third eye. We all have that ability. It's just we're fed a lot of rubbish on this plane, like fluoride. All that does is shut down your third eye. I promise not to get political. Archangel Michael's telling me don't get political. But things like fluoride, it's true, they block your third eye. And that's why Reiki is such a good form of cleansing and clearing your chakras. Not only because if you have blocked chakras, that can turn into illness, which it can, because that's all the illness is blocked emotions, which therefore manifest into illness. And if your chakras are blocked, which is where the blocks are, right? That's when it manifests into illness. But that's another show, another time. But so yes, guys, there is no death. And I think, you know, the concept of us, you know, have on this plane of being fed that, it is quite depressing. It is quite depressing for us to think that as souls, it's all doom and gloom, whereas really if someone passes, I know, like I say, God forbid if it's a child, I've been there, I've lost 2 myself, you know, it's not easy to like turn around and say, oh yes, I want to celebrate this life, because although I was very grateful for the experience and to feel pregnant and all the rest of it, it was blooming heartbreaking to lose 2 children, miscarry too, and I've got nothing else to show for it. Do you know what I mean? I don't have children. So please, guys, I do get it. Don't get me wrong, I have experienced these things myself. I know it's easy for me to say, oh, you know, if someone dies, you've got to, you know, of course you're going to miss them, of course you love them, of course you're going to miss them in the physical. Oh my gosh, yes. But all I'm saying is they haven't left you, they haven't gone, they're there, willing you forward, loving you and helping you in your life in the here and now. And that's what I love doing as a psychic medium clairvoyant, doing my readings. Like I said, I can pull a card, but to actually bring that spirit in and bring the messages to you is phenomenal, because so much healing goes on. You know, a friend of mine had been waiting over 20 years to speak to her mum, had passed, I think about 18, 20 years. And the last time I tried to bring her mum in, she wasn't ready. And I got her a couple of months ago now. And it was so nice because so much healing went on there between the two of them, you know. And she knows her mum's with her. And her mum's been leaving her signs for such a long time, but she didn't realise there were signs. And her mum was telling me that I do this, this and this. So it was really nice for my friend to like, oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, is that her? You know, so it was really nice to converse, point out the signs to her and let her know that when she's getting those signs, that's her mum telling her she's at her side. You know, and it's made her feel so much better. Like I said, she still misses her in the physical, like I do with my dad, but it's made her feel so much better about death, about, you know, it's not the end, it's not bang, that's it, you know, that they continue, but in the heaven plane, and they would have agreed to that before they came here to pass at that time. I'm not sure about, I gotta do that with my voice, because because I don't know if when you take your own life, that is the free will of when your life's meant to end, guys. So if someone says about that, and spirit wanna just air that. Okay, Michael's actually saying, can you just mention people taking their own lives? Okay, this, to me, you got to understand that when you get here, we all have choices and free will. And this is why I say, as a medium, sometimes it's hard for psychic mediums to predict future, because people have free will and people's future can change because of free will. So, you know, for instance, if I'm doing a reading, I'm going to say, well, yeah, I think, you know, this is coming into your life at the moment, but if you decide as that soul to turn a different corner, then you could go off in another tangent. Do you know what I mean? So I feel that, okay, Michael's wanting me to air that people taking their own lives is not always necessarily written in their life contracts, because, okay, it is a free will action if you terminate your life on this plane. So if somebody is decided they're not happy, their soul's had enough, I want to go home, although they probably don't feel that way because they probably feel in a very dark situation where they can't see the light and they think I've just had enough and I'm done here and I want to end this pain and I want to leave, you know, that is a free will choice. That necessarily isn't, okay, a life plan choice. Okay, but what Michael is saying to me, there could be other reasons as to why that person's done that, and it could be the fact they do have attachments. And if you do have an attachment, it's like a devil that sits on your shoulder and it comes in. I've had one, so I know. It comes in and it feeds you like your low self-worth. That's what it does. It's like, God, it's horrible. I've had, like I said, I had one for 50 years nearly. That's the God's honest truth. And it kind of feeds you your low self-esteem, you're worthless, you're this, you're that, you're next thing. All right? And you find, okay, that if you're resonating that to the universe, there's other people that might feed off that energy, because you're put with energy, what you put out to the universe comes back to you. And if you're putting that out there feeling I'm worthless, other people, without knowing, will pick up on that you're putting that out there and treat you in that manner, will come back at you with that manner, with you're this, you're that, you're worthless, you know, because I've done it, so I know. But that adds to the person, psyche, physical mind, thinking that they're not worth nothing, they're rubbish. And therefore that adds to the pain within themselves of, you know, I want to end this. So, okay, so there are reasons, Michael says, why people do take their own lives. It's not always written into their life plan. So whoever's going to be listening to this and who's watching that, Michael said there is somebody that is going to be grateful for that part of this conversation. It's not something I really plan to talk about, suicide, but fine, it will help someone. Also, Michael wants to say is that, and Raphael, I have Raphael here now, is if a soul does go to the heaven plane traumatized, because it can happen, this can happen. The soul can leave the body very quickly. They can be quite traumatized at what's happened and not understanding, oh my God, I've died. I didn't really want to do that, you know, but my head was in a bad place, or they could have been drunk and jumped, or, you know, something like, okay, something like that. They want to share with me, to you, that there is healing that goes on in heaven. So it's like they have counseling as souls. And I have come across souls when I do readings that have actually had exactly that. They've entered heaven and they've gone into counseling to help them understand. But what Michael's saying, it is another experience for the soul, and they wouldn't have to necessarily repeat that again. Unless they've fed the pattern, which is kind of where I was at when I kind of started talking about my time on here, about past life patterns. So, you know, past life patterns can have a bearing, okay, on your life in the here and now, which you can have past life clearings. There is people out there, guys, that do that as well. So I think that's where I'm going to wrap up, guys, is the fact there is no death. And I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope to do more on this because I'm a woman full of knowledge, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm not going to pull a card because I feel I've said my piece, and Michael's kind of saying wrap it up. So yes, guys, I hope to get my channel going, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care. Love and light, guys. Bye. And you can find me at www.angeliclight.co, and you can find me at Susie Parrott on Facebook, and Angelic Light is my page on Facebook. Okay, and unitingthelight.com is also where mine and Diane's classes are if you'd like to take a look. So yeah, I've said my spiel. So take care, guys. Love and light. Bye bye.